If you don't know what you're getting into, read the screen. Oh man. Sorry, I'm doing the James groan from the original game because my back hurts really bad. That's a running theme in life, I suppose. At this point, what's up? This is Riverwood Chicken. For those just joining us, this is Silent Hill 2 remake. I finished my first playthrough just a few days ago. Um, I'll kind of just give an overall opinion now. I was very surprised at the quality. Um, in some ways, still kind of prefer the original. In some ways, kind of prefer this one. I'm very impressed at Bloober Team's ability to not just capture a lot of the original and give a new twist on it that still maintains the quality and message and delivery of the original, but um, add a lot of new stuff like combat, which I was also kind of surprised with. I'll say the combat I grew to very much enjoy by the end of the game. A little frustrating at first, but once you get used to it, pretty enjoyable. I'll kind of build on that later, but again, overall thoughts are pretty dang good. I had a great time with it. Solid puzzles. Again, there are still a few things about the original that I do kind of prefer, but I'll get into that later. For the most part, I really liked everything. The only two critiques predominantly that I had were one, this is built in Unreal Engine 5, and there are kind of a couple of visual bugs as a result. I mean, you can kind of see that right now just looking through the windows on screen, but um, if you kind of get over that, and there are some moments that it kind of pulls you out of it, and some moments that you can totally ignore it, and for the most part, it's pretty easy to overlook. But all that aside, visually is really impressive. The environments are outstanding. In addition to that, again, small visual bugs aside, everything else looks great. The character models, the animations. Um, there are a few animations that could kind of use a little bit of additional work, but I'll get into that later. Um, the only other major gripe that I had, and it's not even a major gripe, it's a pretty minor gripe because she did an incredible job, is I love Maria. I do think they did a great job with her in the remake. I liked her overall portrayal. You'll see that evolve. Trust me, I was super skeptical about her original redesign, and once I got over that, I kind of had some issues with the voice acting. That's where I got hung up. She did a great job, but when you're standing up to Monica Taylor from the original, who like deserves an Oscar for that performance, it's hard to do any better. And like I think she did a great job, but it's the letter at the end. It's the letter at the end that really sold me on like whose portrayal was definitely superior. And Maria, for the most part, is very good here, but I didn't grow to be attached to her in the same way that I did in the original. With the exception of a couple of added scenes, and the additions that Bloober Team does in the remake are all very welcome. They're incredibly well done. Um, they don't rob from the original vision. They definitely supplement it. They don't steal the show or the spotlight. Um, I don't know, the additions, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to them. I want to let all of the scenes play out before I like delve into analysis or anything. But um, Bloober Team did a great job doing these small tweaks and additions that refresh the game that you have already known. I picked up Silent Hill 2. I was a little bit of a latecomer. I picked up Silent Hill 2 back in about 2019. And at that point, I had little experience with the franchise. I'll kind of make this quick, then we can delve in. Um, I had little experience with the franchise beforehand. I picked up PT, and that was kind of my soft introduction to Silent Hill. And then I started looking into it, like, what the hell is this franchise? Um, I hate to say that I tried the HD collection in about 2015, and I couldn't really get into it. I tried the new voice acting, and that was what my mistake was. Obviously, I didn't really pick up the franchise again until very late. I was doing some research on psychological horror games, and Silent Hill, of course, comes up all the time. So I picked it up again. I heard all the things about the HD collection and got into the old how to say this word on YouTube without pissing off YouTube. PCSX2 style things. Yeah, I just said it. Emulation. I emulated the game. And it was a way superior experience. I got hooked on the franchise after that. Played Silent Hill 2 relentlessly. Coming full circle to where I got sidetracked. I've played Silent Hill 2, the original, so many times I could quote it. I could probably cite it in my sleep. However, the additions that Bloober Team brings to the table kind of catch you off guard in a good way. They're very refreshing to the take of Silent Hill that series, like long series fans, already know. Um, and for the people who haven't played it, I think it's a great introduction. Like I said earlier, I think that both are superior to one another in small ways. They're both like better than one another in some ways, and another. The original does some things better, and this one does some things better than the original. Which is that thought alone, I never thought I would say. That being said, I did a whole playthrough obviously already. This is going to be my second full playthrough. I started one the other day to tweak my settings. I will say, if you are a newcomer to this game, I think it is, and not just to the series, I mean to the remake in general. You should play through with some UI settings on, like, where are you going to find some items, because some of the key items are kind of difficult to find if you have the UI turned off. The playthrough I'm going to be doing is going to feature the 90s filter, which has a film grain, which kind of looks like it's already enabled now that I'm looking at it. Most UI features are going to be disabled, with the exception of when you pick up items, because you got to have the health ding when you pick up a health item. You got to have that little sound. So otherwise, I think I'm going to go for the rebirth ending. As we play through, I'll kind of pick apart some things. What made me want to do this playthrough, I gotta say this before we delve in, what made me want to do this playthrough with the 90s filter and to stream this was because I kept finding these little references in game. And if you haven't played the remake yet and you've played the original game, you're gonna love this little feature. They've got all of these, it's like a little film haze that'll kind of show on screen. And it plays this little jingle every time you find a reference to the original game. Like at the hotel at the very end, you can find the headphones laying somewhere, and if you interact with the headphones, it plays the little I don't know, like a little melody, and it puts this film haze over the screen. It's really cool. I was a Bloober Team skeptic, admittedly. If you saw my Autumn Games video, you'll know that I was kind of critical of Layers of Fear, rightfully so, I think. But I think Bloober Team shows that they were fans of the game as well, and they wanted to honor it and do it justice. I think they did a really good job. Again, I have a couple of small nitpicks that put me on the fence of saying which one would be better than the other one, per se. I do think I still prefer the original, because it's the labyrinth section. A little bit of different sound design that they use in this one that, I don't know, in the original it feels just so otherworldly, and in this it didn't quite capture me as being as otherworldly as in the original. Again, just in the labyrinth section, but I still think they did a great job with it. Again, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. This game is actually really long, and I'm not gonna skip out on trying to find things. I want to try and find everything we can and find all the references. I don't know where everything is going to be, so I'm probably going to miss a few things. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and overwrite my most recent save, and we are going to delve in. I am going to do New Game Plus, because again, I want to do the rebirth ending. I'll just leave standard challenge for puzzles and combat, because that's just what I got acclimated to. These should maintain my old settings. We'll do that 90s filter. And I'm sorry, I did the pre-order for this game. I got early access. I've already put 27 hours into this game as of Friday evening at 11 p.m., somewhere around there. Yeah, it's fun. I really enjoyed this game. Again, I'll try to show everything I can. I might miss a few details here or there, but let's go ahead and delve in. Series newcomers, this is a game about a guy who receives a letter from his supposedly deceased wife, who beckons him to Silent Hill, and it has Pyramid Head. Oh, that's kind of my one final gripe. I think Pyramid Head is great in this one. I think he's slightly scarier in the original. I'm going to cross that bridge when I come to it. I've said that like probably 5 times by now. Take a drink every time I say we'll cross that bridge when you come to it. Let's start playing Silent Hill 2 Remake. Those footsteps there were also in the original loading screen. So I was very excited to see that. I'll try to shut up during cutscenes, but, you know, small details here. Small details. Great details. Okay, I'll stop talking for a second.
Could you really be in this town?
Some very, very good sound design on the part of Akira Yamaoka, redesigning the original tracks, which I was very skeptical about. Sometimes I kind of prefer the original tracks in certain moments, but for the most part, I really came around to the new stuff. Heaven's Night in particular is really something special.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday. But you never did. Well, I'm alone there now. In our special place. Waiting for you.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary. My wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. So then why am I looking for her? Our special place. What could she mean? This whole town was our special place. Could Mary really be here? Is she really alive? Waiting for me?
Again, very, very, very good work from Akira Yamaoka, as always. There's going to be a couple of spots I call out that I kind of wish they would have done something slightly different, but you'll see. It gives me chills. Geez, my hair standing up, the hair on my arm standing up. It looks great out the gate. If somebody watching this has never played the game before, I'm going to try and make this first video a bit of an introductory section that doesn't quite spoil anything, and just gives you a taste of what the game is probably going to be like. You know, a good sample demo, if you will, as well as, you know, for the fans who have already played either the remake or the original game, call out some things from the original, like James's car right here. Oh man, they nail it shot for shot everywhere, everywhere. They do a great job, emulating the original sense of. Oh gosh, I'm so afraid to say that damn word, especially in playing this game. They do a great job emulating the sense that you got in the original, and in a lot of ways, make it new. I'm going to say that my hair stands up on my arms multiple times because in my first playthrough of this, it totally did. Because again, they capture that sense that you get at a lot of very vital moments. I immediately, okay, yeah, looking down there, there's an achievement you get if you go down and try to leave. I'll kind of make this part fast. I'm playing on PS5, standard PS5, not the Pro. Again, there are kind of some visual bugs you'll see throughout, courtesy of Unreal Engine 5. Kind of, if you see along the side of the road, I wish I could point like my finger on the screen. But on the side of the road up there, you can kind of see that the water textures on the roads are a little bit buggy. Reflections in general kind of have this weird shimmering effect that never really seems to get super resolved. I'll kind of show for people who want to play this way. I really enjoyed the custom setting that I set up here. It's based on the no HUD interface preset. I do have reticle for aiming, obviously. I feel like the game would be insanely difficult without that, but I wanted to have it on thin. I wanted to have the thickness for the reticle on thin, but it with some of the reticles, especially with shotgun, makes this weird kind of alias effect, so I keep it on standard. But I do reduce the opacity to make it a little bit less intrusive. Ammo display is off. I think this is way more immersive and feels a lot more like the original, which is the play style that I'm going for. Which I think that the 90s filter that they have does a wonderful job, making me feel super nostalgic for the original game. And so does displaying or turning off the ammo display. Checking your inventory, and that's another thing. If you, the health vignette is super obnoxious. All right, this, and your health doesn't regenerate. Obviously, this is Silent Hill. This is obnoxious. I recommend for almost everyone turn this off. Once you get accustomed to the combat, just disable it. Splatter vignette is on. I don't find that super obtrusive because it's very infrequent. I've disabled this. Again, if it's your first playthrough of the remake, you should probably leave some sort of icon on for most interactables. I think you should totally leave it off for traversables. This is because the traversables are, as you can see in the picture, they're usually marked by this white sheet, which sort of replaces your classic old, what would you call that? Like the yellow tape, I guess, that you'd see in like The Last of Us and Resident Evil. Maybe turn this on if it's your first time playing an over-the-shoulder horror game. Maybe you're into psychological horror and this is going to be your first like AAA style one. I keep it off. QuickTime events are always X, so I disabled QuickTime events. Obviously, you're going to notice when you get into a grapple event with an enemy, so I just disabled it. I keep it on performance. I think that the switch to quality is super negligible in favor of 60 FPS, so we're going 60. Obviously, I've already got my HDR configured. You can do that on your own. The 90s filter is great. The 90s filter is wonderful. Here's kind of standard. I'll turn this off for a sec so you can kind of see it in standard mode. And again, it looks wonderful. And I will say the film grain on the 90s is a little bit heavy, but I'm a nostalgia guy. I really am. So we're going to do film grain. Sorry. Again, that's going to be about the only UI feature I leave on is the notification for picking up items, and that is because we must have the bloop sound for when we pick up health items. That is a must. This guy, James's voice actor, does a great job. I'm going to go ahead and give you you lore heads a little bit of, yes, you can explore this little area here. The car, yes, is the car. I'm going to leave it at that. You get it. I'm gonna do one of those. You got to drink when I say it. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And that'll be very late in this series. Hopefully, it'll be a long series, and I actually get to play this all the way through to the end, because there is a lot to see. In fact, the original bathroom. When I saw the original clips, when I saw like the first 30 minutes released, I thought you couldn't go in here, and I was honestly a little bit bummed. It was one of those dumb, like, I shouldn't be upset about this kind of things. Oh hey, I just noticed they've got this drawing on the wall from the original. Got to turn that 90s back on, speaking of which. Out freaking standing. The only thing I don't like about the 90s is the dark vignette around the outside of the screen. We'll hopefully fix that when we get the flashlight. I don't actually remember if that was on the wall in the original. There is the Heaven's Night poster. Ooh, I'm lost. Told you that dark vignette is kind of bad. There we go. Yeah, I think it looks great. Aside from the little fuzzy visual bugs on reflective surfaces, it looks super good. They do a wonderful job with the fog, which you'll see here in a minute. Just a lot of just everything you wanted to see. That's what I'll say. I'll round about the whole, if you are a fan of the original Silent Hill, it is everything you wanted to see and more. Maria's performance is not quite as good as the original, but is probably the second best. I would say definitively the second best Mary performance that you're going to get in Silent Hill 2. And they mix things up. That's something else I like. And that's why you can feel, or I'd feel, you could play either the remake or original first and then play the other one second. Everything is a little bit different. Like, they mix things up. Again, feels very fresh. It's a new take on the things that you already knew. And it's going to surprise you if you've played the original or not. Now, I'll say that. They subvert your expectations. And that's something I thought outright. I started walking down this path, and I was like, okay, I'm a huge fan of the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack. It's not just like game soundtracks, music in general, some of my favorite music, like seriously. There's bangers on there. Not just that, but even the ambient tracks, like the Forest Trail track that plays right here. See? That classic UI mode. James turns his head towards stuff like the original. It's great. I love Bloober Team for making that a feature in this game. Again, you can tell that they actually played and were huge fans of the original, because if this was not a thing, I would be so bummed. Like, I wanted no UI. I knew it was going to be hard with no UI, and yeah, it's a little bit tougher when you disable the HUD, but relying on James's head turning everywhere kind of makes you notice more details, because you have to pay closer attention. Very, very fun. That's another thing. Combat, again, cumbersome when you start, but once you get acclimated to it, becomes kind of not really entertaining. You don't desire a fight. Just like the original game, you don't want to fight enemies. It's stressful. But they do a good job of balancing stressful with giving you the ability to overcome combat scenarios, and I have a lot to say on the gameplay and the combat. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All right, I gotta stop doing that. Forgot that was there. Yeah, again, when they released the first 30 minutes of gameplay, I thought that was not going to be there. The growl in the woods. I just got back from a trip to Estes Park like a month ago, and I walk trails kind of like this, so I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, it's like Estes Park, except spooky. Yeah, again, they mix things up. The Forest Trail soundtrack that I thought was going to be right here as you walk up to the cemetery was not here, and I was kind of bummed about that. But they subvert your expectations. The moment you think, crap, they cut this, or this thing is missing, it shows up like 5 or 10 minutes later. And almost every time it happened, it felt like I was getting pranked. By the end of the game, there might be one or two things that you think are like slightly different that you prefer to the original. Yeah, again, I'm gonna have to wipe this save that I was on, so don't worry about that. There might be a couple of things that you prefer to the original, but I think that there is enough good that is brought to the table through this one that they were both equally worthy of playing. I said that about the Resident Evil 4 remake in my Autumn Games video that I did a few weeks back, and yeah, this is totally the same kind of quality. Not just that you would expect from like a AAA horror game title, but from like Silent Hill. They're both great, and both scores are very comparable to one another, which is cool. Another thing for lore heads, look at that. Classic save feature, you got James's face in the screen. I actually had a theory about this on Reddit a long time ago, that these red squares...
Someone's groping around my skull.
I had to keep that line too. I showed my brother this game a few days ago, and I was kind of bummed when he didn't say anything when touching the thing. I was like, oh, he has this line in the original about someone like groping around in his skull, and it like emulates this kind of fourth wall break of like noticing the player is doing something with his head or something like that. And as soon as I backed out and he said that, I lost my mind. I was so happy. Either way, yeah, so this theory I have about this, the original Silent Hill was on CRTs at a 4:3 ratio, which is about a square. And when you save, it does this red flash on the screen, right? You see that? It does that in the original as well. And I always thought that this reflection of James's face that they had in the original on screen was reminiscent of the TV screen becoming the square, almost. And James almost like looking into the TV screen at the player. And seeing his face looking back at you is, I don't know, kind of gives me chills. Very cool. I don't know. I'm not 100% on that theory. I'm totally open to other people having other opinions on that. But I think it's a pretty firm theory, and the remake kind of affirmed that theory, in my opinion. I'm going to stop for a second because this. Okay, if you've never played Silent Hill, this is the freaking thumbnail, dude. Play the game. It is perfect for spooky season. Like, we're walking up to the cemetery right now, and it's not like you could see everything like this in the original game. The camera angles were fixed to and obviously assets were limited to the point that you couldn't have this variety to the trees. But like how tall they are, they're like looming over you. You feel very boxed in, and they do a good job of that in the original. But again, we're kind of confined by the fixed camera angles and limited hardware. But they do such a wonderful job realizing the full image of what the developers originally intended. But again, by the constraints of the hardware, we're kind of limited. But this scene with like the dead trees and the fence and the fog, again, the fog is perfect in this game. And this little cathedral or like, what would you call that? Like an Undercroft? I don't know. You were so controversial 3 months ago, but now we love you. Angela, she turns my opinion around. I was also super on the fence about new Angela, not because of her character design, but again, the voice acting.
I'm sorry. I was just...
Hey, it's okay. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm kind of lost.
Lost?
And the original is supposed to be strange too, but
For Silent Hill?
she opts for a little bit less strange and a little bit more
yeah.
sad. A little less dreamy, a little more
It's hard to
depressed.
see with this fog, but there's only the one road. You can't miss it.
Thanks.
But... I think you should stay away. This town, there's something wrong with it. And it's not just the fog, either.
Is it dangerous?
Maybe. It's kind of hard to explain, but
I'll be careful.
I'm not lying.
No, I believe you. It's just... I guess I don't really care if it's dangerous or not. I'm going either way.
But why?
I'm looking for someone. Someone very important to me.
Me too. I'm looking for my mama. I mean, my mother. It's been so long since I've seen her. I thought my father and brother were here, but I can't find them either. I'm sorry, it's not your problem.
No, I hope you find them.
Yeah, you too.
Again, the fog there is outstanding. Again, Angela, I think in the original, just slightly better in the original. However, there's, I'll get to this when they happen, but there's a few select cutscene moments that I think are much better done in the original. Just a couple. Not to the point that it's game breaking or that made me super upset. It was just like, I was like, that's better in the original. But if you haven't played the original, would be much more impactful. But again, Annika Taylor-Horgan did just such a great job in the original that she kind of dwarfs Maria's performance in this one. So again, if this is your first Silent Hill game, if you've never played the original, then this one is going to smack you in the face. If you have played the original, you're obviously going to be comparing. I tried to overcome this. It was hard. You're going to be comparing the experience throughout. And I think Bloober Team knew that. And again, tried to subvert your expectations and refresh a few things, but keep a few things, like right here specifically, very faithful to the original. Again, Angela kind of had me on the fence for a while. She opts for this more sad, depressed Angela than the dreamy, hazy Angela from the original. But she does a great job, especially with like her body language. Like, look how she's standing and like kind of rubbing her arm, and how she's fiddling her hands in the cutscene. Oh man! And there was like this kind of drifting fog in the cutscene that I also wanted to call attention to, but I'm trying to not talk during the cutscenes. Also, I love this. You can kind of interact with her just one more time. Like, hello.
Did you want anything else?
No, it's just this fog. Does it seem unsettling to you?
I guess.
I don't know. I kind of find it comforting. Kind of chill. Aside from the cemetery. This is one of those moments that original fans might be a little bit bummed about. There's this... original fans will find this lack of a soundtrack that would be playing right here. What is it? A World of Madness is what the track is called. And I kind of get why they removed it from here. I think that you get a lot better delivery of the spooky, foggy cemetery vibe with that track removed. That being said, I'm still kind of bummed it's not here. I so wish, and I hope this comes in an update, that they give like a Toggle Classic soundtrack kind of vibe. On that note, there it is. The Forest Trail, which I was talking about earlier, the track that I was hoping to play when you started walking towards the cemetery, instead just happens a few minutes after. They do that through the entire game, to the point that you're almost waiting to see them stop doing it, and then by like midway, 3/4 of the way, you're like, all right, what are they going to do next? How are they going to do it next? Because they've done it before. Great spooky game. Just, again, if you haven't played Silent Hill, it is like the best kind of Halloween game you could play. Not just because of the environments and the fogginess. The story is great, and yes, very scary, but what makes the story extra special, and this is kind of for like the first 4 games across the board, the ending is always something that when you shut it off, it sticks with you. It's not like they end on a high note they do crescendo the whole time. It's just getting increasingly more crazy. And then up until like the very end, and again, they don't end on a high note. It's more like they end on this resonation that just sits with you for days. Like, I've played the original, again, dozens and dozens of times. I've played this once through, and even with everything I knew coming, the ending hit me, and it totally hit me like the original. And again, it's because of that freshness they bring. I'm totally going to keep the chainsaw. I'm not going to use it. I kind of want to go classic style. I never really used the chainsaw all that much in the original. I haven't tried out to see if James does the thing where he raises it over his head and yells, so I might try it at some point. I'll get to that thing in a second. Again, it sat with me for days, the end of this game. I knew it was coming. I knew everything that was coming, except for, you know, the new take on the cutscenes and everything. It's the soundtrack. It's the redesign of the soundtrack that has just been going in my head, like echoing. And again, I almost preferred the original soundtrack, and in some spots I do prefer the original soundtrack. But for the most part, some of those new soundtracks just stood with me, man, for days and days. It's just playing in my head, and the theme of the game and the message. Oh, I got the in-water ending. I was opting for that ending intentionally. To get that ending, you have to keep your health fairly low for most of the game, and as a result, it's kind of difficult, especially learning the combat mechanics. I'm glad to not be doing that this go-around. Loreheads. I did play the HD collection at some point. Sorry, gamer sin right there. Don't buy that game. Don't ever give Konami money for that piece of garbage. One of the things that was a huge nitpick, and yeah, I was a nitpicker of this as well, this sign gets replaced. This is the original text. I love this. They keep the original image or text of a ton of stuff from the original game in a lot of very effective spots. And this is one of them, because I was looking for this, and I was like, haha, it would be funny if they did Comic Sans, but also I would hate that because it'd be super removing. But instead, original title, somewhere around, I don't know where, is the original Comic Sans from the original HD collection. I don't know why I keep saying original. They keep the new Comic Sans from the HD collection instead of the original sign. It's somewhere in game, I don't know where. But yeah, the Comic Sans in HD collection was a huge deal. Everybody was ripping on it for, well, to this day, honestly. Yeah, the Comic Sans was stupid, but HD collection is bad for reasons way worse than the Comic Sans. If it was just the Comic Sans, it would be forgivable. But there's a lot of other bugs with it. Characters rendering off screen that are like not doing their animations yet because they didn't adjust it to be widescreen. The original games were like 4:3, so they didn't animate characters out in the letterboxing to run into the screen. It's like you can see people holding still off screen, or bugs that shouldn't be there off screen as well. Like, I don't know. It's again kind of hardware limitations of the time that they just didn't think to fix it. Terrible textures. They had awful textures. The fog effects were reduced greatly to the point that things that should have been obscured in the mist, including the borders of the map, were visible. Bad. Don't do the HD collection. Emulate that all the way, or buy it if you have like $200, $300. Yeah, great job of the new sound design. I love that Akira Yamaoka maintained a lot of the original sounds, just like you can hear in this one, completely unchanged. There are a few spots that just have the exact same sounds overall, and I was so glad to hear them. I wished the Labyrinth was one of them. I was waiting to hear the classic Labyrinth theme, and maybe it plays in a small part and I totally missed it, but I was waiting to hear the original theme from the Labyrinth, that kind of dead, echoing Otherworld sound, and it never really came, so I was a little bummed about that. But again, when Forest Trail hit right here after the cemetery, I was like, ooh, that's perfect. I've seen some people critique this. This spot right here is seeming kind of pointless. I think this is kind of just tutorial-y, you know. New mechanics to the franchise. Not this, but new mechanics for the franchise is like jumping through windows and stuff. So having this little spot where you need to jump through and just grab a key is kind of your tutorial spot. Another little visual bug. Sometimes jumping through windows or being close to walls makes the camera stutter like that. Not my favorite. Again, just a little tutorial action. You're gonna unlock a door from the other side and you unlock shortcuts. Oh yeah, he's probably glancing at that. That's gonna be one thing that gets me in this, with this no HUD, is I'm gonna keep looking at memos I've already inspected because some of them you don't actually pick up. This moment right here, as soon as I walked through the gate right here, I was like, alright, this is great. This spot, it's, again, I don't know how, but it's like, even without fixed camera angles, or basing their shots on the fixed camera angles, everything here just looks and feels like the original, just, you know, fully upscaled. I told you guys earlier, for the longtime series fans, that you have these small little things you can interact with. If you kind of listen here. Remember I was talking about it plays this small little jingle and has that little film grain is there, the static effect that shows up. There it is, a reference to the original. For those that don't know, this not this exact placement right here, but this model, this kind of setup here, is your first enemy encounter in the original game. You come through this fence and you see the lying figure, and kind of find this piece of wood, and you know, obviously that's when the combat encounters start. I also like this. That sign looks a lot to me like the Silent Hill sign that they would have used in the movies, or at least reminiscent of it. Again, like shot for shot in so many areas is just like the same, and that's not a complaint. Many areas are different for the better, and there are a lot of spots that are, like I said, just totally the same. Kind of right here, this whole walk into town, it's perfect. A totally acceptable, not acceptable, just exceptional, I should say, modern take on the old game. It looks like everything I would expect to see in so many places. And for those of you that are bothered about Maria's character redesign, don't be bothered by that. Play the game, or just keep watching this long play, and when you see her interact with the character, you will understand why she's not superior, but why she is on the same level of the connection of Maria you get in the first game. Again, I think the original performance is better, but this one is outstanding. It's stellar. It's A tier for sure. Alright, we'll pick up the pace. You've seen some fog. You've seen some fog. Gosh, I'm never going to get over it. I love being in the atmosphere. The closest thing I got to this game, or a modern version of this game in the past, like, 10 years, was Alan Wake 2, of which, you know, again, if you watched my video, you know that I was wicked excited for that game. I played the hell out of it after it came out. I think I've got like 120, 130 hours into it now. More to come when the Lake House comes out. I'm super excited for that. But a section in Alan Wake 2 particular that reminded me of Silent Hill was Coffee World, or Watery in general. Totally felt like Silent Hill. And when I started playing this game, I remember thinking that instantly. I was like, it kind of feels like Alan Wake 2. You know, Alan Wake 2 kind of adopted further into the Resident Evil style, like they kind of did when they started. And this game kind of opted for, I would say, closer to the Alan Wake 2 style than the Resident Evil 4 style. Resident Evil 4 is so combat heavy with all of the different interactions you can do and like weapons you can use. And this game definitely opts more for, again, like tense combat interactions that you would wish to avoid. And when you can, you totally should. And I will. One other kind of visual bug that I have, and I'm sorry if you're just now seeing this because I'm pointing it out, is this kind of haze that happens almost center screen, more just next to James's head in the fog with this film grain thing. Oh gosh, I don't want to turn it off, but yeah, I might have to disable that at some point. A few other additions that I've really enjoyed, and I remember just dreaming of a Silent Hill 2 remake a couple of years back, like before they announced this, and I was like, man, it would be great if, you know, if they did a remake of this game, if in real time you had to pull your map out and look at it, and it didn't pause the game. That's exactly what they do. It's perfect. And actually, like, pulling out the map and looking at it, super, super solid. If they did a VR port of this game for PSVR, I would lose my mind.
What is this?
Another from the original. A lot of the things that James would otherwise have, you know, thought in text in the original, instead he will just say in the game, which is kind of nice. It's not Ethan Winters bad, where you're just saying dumb crap all the time. You know, he'll actually add some kind of believable context of like like gross. What is that? It's few. It's very sparse. Don't worry. And when it's there, it's tasteful. It's never cringy. That's one thing I love. This game never gets cringy. I was so scared. I was so scared they were going to make it cringy, and it wasn't. None of my friends play Silent Hill, and it bums me out because it's a great game, lovely story, wonderful atmospheres, and again, Halloween time. It's perfect. It's perfect. I think Silent Hill brings to the table everything you could want out of something scary. Neat feature I've seen on Reddit. This cutscene has, like, I think 3 different ways it will play depending on either how you approach or when you approach. I don't know. I don't know what triggers it, but that cutscene has a couple of spots it would play. I wish that the lying figure was a little bit further in the fog, a little bit more obscured. I'm gonna have tiny little nitpicks here and there that, again, don't break the experience or upset me, but just things I would have, you know, if I were in charge, would have done slightly different. I would have obscured the lying figure a little bit more. Like, for people who know it's coming, obviously we know it's coming. We're supposed to know that there is something in the fog that's a monster. If you've never played the game, obviously it's like, oh, there's something in the fog, it's probably scary. Like, that should be pretty apparent. Wow. I just set up the 3D audio with my headphones the other day, and 3D audio on PlayStation is pretty solid. I heard the noise from the left, and it was pretty easy to find this. Again, I've only played through the game like once, twice up until Woodside, but it was very easy to pick up on where to go. Again, you could just look at the ground, but the audio cue there was outstanding. Oh gosh, I just confused about 3 thoughts at once and I already forgot it. Oh yeah, none of my friends play Silent Hill. I would love for them to play it. I think this is a great introduction to the series for anyone that hasn't played it because it's a standalone story. That's why they started with Silent Hill 2. It's probably the most popular in the franchise. Features the poster boy Pyramid Head. What an easy way to reintroduce the franchise, and now that the numbers are spiking, I'm really, really hoping they remake the rest of the original 4, because they're awesome, but again, I can't get any of my friends to play them. So this is hopefully a new beginning. I think this is breathing a lot of fresh breath into the franchise that it's needed for a long time. Like, Silent Hill is something everybody knows, but not everybody has played. I think this is going to give it just a new life. I'm very excited for that. After having seen Bloober Team's adaptation of number 2, I'm very excited to see where they go from here. I think it's going to bring in lots of new fans, and like me and a lot of others, bring old fans back to the table to see what they're cooking. And did they cook? We got a whole feast here. The first playthrough was about, I want to say, 16 and a half hours. Again, more classic soundtrack. Love that they keep the classic soundtracks, especially in the scary parts. Oh, yay, I finally get to talk combat. We're almost there. Actually, I want to interact with this and see if he has another little piece of dialogue. Go ahead and overwrite or save. I've never been coy to overwrite my save in horror games. Obviously, I have a million. You can max out at 10 in this game. I thought you could make as many as you wanted. I wanted to do like every single spot possible because I love just jumping in at random points sometimes and getting to skip the introduction. I do that with the original game, and I wanted to do it here, but not the option. That's all right. That's all right. Beggars can't be choosers. And I was begging. I was pleading. Was that a... Aha! Sometimes it's kind of hard to queue up the interaction. Oh, wait. Listen. That's why we have item notifications on. He looks like he's looking at something else. You want to open that up? Okay. Environments are very well done. Not a great spot for me to just pause and showcase that. I'll do that later, but you'll see throughout the environments are very, very well done. Of course, it wouldn't be Silent Hill unless you're the room without the radio. See, like some of the camera angles and the shots that they have, the imagery that they have is outstanding. Combat! Woo! What's up, dude? I also love that stomping is here. We get to stomp! This is Silent Hill! We stomp our monsters out like it's Dead Space or something. Except, you know, you can do that in this game first before Dead Space. Either way, I love it. I really, honestly, grew to like the combat a lot. Again, you can kind of see a lot of Alan Wake style action, what with having dodging's kind of your primary defense mechanism. I rely way too heavy on the dodging. I want to say, gosh, I haven't... Somewhere in my screenshots, maybe in next stream I'll say what it was, but I dodged a countless number of times in my first playthrough. There's a counter that keeps track of that, which is wonderful. Again, I think the setup here was really good. I didn't really love James's animation where he kind of picks up the piece of wood like it's a baseball bat. I've always envisioned James like tripping and falling over something and then like seeing a plank of wood next to him or something. I don't know. But like this, it didn't feel like supernatural. That was stupid. It didn't feel incredibly natural. I think the design of the lying figures is almost really, really awesome. They look a little bit rubbery. Like there's some textures around it that almost look like it's like in a zipper or something, like it's in a body bag or wrapped up in a body bag, and the zipper texture just looks kind of glossy and like, I don't know, not textured. It just looks like it's part of the bag. And again, almost really good. I actually do think it's really, really good. I think it could have been slightly better. And that's kind of a running theme throughout, is like everything is really, really, really good, could have been slightly better. Like almost perfect is the experience throughout. I will take this moment for the environment. This is a well done room. I like that they set up the shot the same way as they do in the original, with James in the foreground and something in the background lurking with this white light backdrop of the fog. I think the thing like shambling and stumbling over, the animations for the enemies are really, really good. You'll see that later as we discover more enemies, but they do a really good job with the animation. Again, Bloober Team didn't really strike me as the perfect studio for this, I guess, until I started playing and noticed how well polished and AAA feeling the game is. There might be a couple of spots, kind of combat-wise, you'll notice I was kind of just invincible for a moment when I dodged. God, I love that sound. I was kind of just invincible for a moment when I dodged, and I remember playing this and feeling when I discovered that I was like, that feels kind of like Bloodborne kind of iframes. Weird to compare to a FromSoft game, but several people on Reddit actually made the same comparison, not to Bloodborne specifically, but just to FromSoft. I love this here. I'll shut up. I like that they made that message just a bit more fuzzy in this, just slightly more difficult to make out. In the original, if you were listening really closely, and if you knew it was coming, obviously, but I think that for like a very select few, maybe the 1%ers, could probably make out the message in the original when it happens. That's a spoiler moment. We'll talk about that far later in this playthrough series. Yeah, combat-wise, again, I kind of had a hard time with it at first, kind of timing when I should be dodging, but it's because, again, kind of comparable to some FromSoft games, you need to get acclimated to when enemies are going to attack, and what their attack patterns are, like how they're going to telegraph their movements. New feature for looting things and finding items is breaking car windows. There's an achievement for that as well. I saw a Donkey video the other day, and he got that achievement probably in the first 5 minutes of the game. I think it's a great way to make finding items feel a lot more organic than just randomly finding, there's a health drink by this tree, and something like that. They do a good job making the game feel very realistic, and in Silent Hill that is insanely important, which is again why I always advocate for disabling a lot of the heads-up and UI features, or heads-up display and UI features. Again, new soundtracks, a lot of the new soundtracks are super, super welcome. There's one that I'm not a huge fan of near the prison section, but love that little melody that played as we exited here. Gruesome, nasty. Neely's Bar Neely's. Yeah, James doing a little mark on his map for whenever you get a new objective. I think that's a great way to say that you have something on your map worth inspecting. They do a good job here of bringing back the classic follow your map as your guide, or almost as your task or to-do list like they do in the original. They do it, I don't know about better in this one. I do think it's easier, and for that reason it's better. Sometimes it feels almost a little bit too obvious, like instead of like something subtle, you'll have like this giant question mark on your map. And that's my only gripe with it, really. I think other than that, it's awesome. James, again, having a little mark for just the important stuff. It's not like you're going to mark every single time you find a locked door. But having James do a small mark on the map, like an animation for that. Ooh. Boy. Again, the enemy animations are very good. Comingtown West soundtrack, love it. Original fans rejoice. So much original homage that's just not even homage, it's just yoinked straight from the original, and they just didn't change it. And that's, again, not like the whole game is like that. It's just in very, very effective moments, very effective places. The places you'd hope to have them, with few exceptions. Very nice. Very nice. Crap, I was talking about something. I got sidetracked. Yeah, the map. Map is well done. Again, if you are someone who's never played Silent Hill... Ooh, I gotta get to the inventory here in a second. If you have never played Silent Hill, the map is your best friend. This is your to-do list. This is your guide. It will tell you everything you need to know. It marks safe spots that you've discovered and places that you should probably visit are, again, like circled, or there's a question mark by it, or something of significance that kind of calls it out to you. So it's easy to get lost. There's a lot of kind of just the game turns you loose in a very, very large area. And if you don't know what to do, your map is your friend. Another kind of heads-up display thing I was talking about, I don't use the health vignette because it's very obstructive, I think, to the game. It's kind of removing from the experience. I love being as immersed in my horror games as possible, especially Silent Hill, which is, again, why I try to opt for the minimal HUD kind of style. But you can rely on James's animations. He'll kind of get a little bit bloodied, and he'll also hold his side and kind of whimper a little bit, more or less. Come on, dog, I know you're under there. This is another thing from the original, is enemies hiding under cars. I love that. You don't swing first, you don't swing at all! Alright. I'm not going to do this out of order. I'll, immersive playthrough style, I'll try to keep everything as in standard playthrough order as possible. Again, on the note of HUD, James will kind of hold his side, he'll kind of make some noises as to, I'm injured. Or, I love this, like the original game, you have this indicator you can have in, you can disable this if you want to, you can disable this shimmering effect in the settings menu, but I opt for this to be enabled. I love that your inventory screen will become like more sporadic with these backgrounds that it has, these background animations, and also, text will become progressively more like red or orange. Alongside that, again, I'm on PS5. Cool thing that happens when you're not playing with a headset is the radio static will come out of your controller. And that, like, there's something about radio static and popping radio sounds that kind of gets under my skin. So that really love that they put it in the radio, like you would do for, what's another game that does that? Like, they do that in Layers of Fear. I love that they have that in Layers of Fear for, like, puzzles and stuff. That was one of my favorite features. Another thing, your health is indicated on your controller by the controller light, a la Outlast. Outlast did that first on the PS4. But I adore that they make full use of the PS5 DualSense vibration mechanics, the whispers in your control, not whispers, sorry, the static in your controller, the resistance of the triggers. It all feels very, very, very well done. I wish they would have incorporated the touchpad somehow, but how the hell would you have done that? I don't know. I couldn't even think of it, so I'm not going to complain about it. Very akin to your classic inventory system. Another thing. Can't forget why we're here. We can't forget why we're here. This is very important. Right, Mary? That's right. We're here for our wife. What you got? Nothing? What you got? Nothing? Remove the window tint and I won't break your glass. They again do a lot of very small, like, they didn't have to do a lot of these features, but they do a ton of small features that feel reminiscent of the original. Like, again, giving you the option to disable heads-up display and have James, what creeper here, and have James look for things with his head. I love that. There's so much small little, we didn't have to do this, but we did it because we love you guys and we love Silent Hill kind of things that they put in the game. Come on, dude. See, iframes are huge. And you always stomp that mother dead. Always make sure it's dead. See, James has got just a little bit of blood on the back of his jacket here, indicative of the damage that I just took. I don't think this opens. This was another thing I was worried about with the original, that they, again, they totally beat my fears to the death, like I would do with my wooden plank. I was really worried they were going to remove all of these interactable like posters and stuff like that, where James would like get a little insight or on the town or something. They have a lot more of that, not less of it. You know, oh gosh, can I not read that? I guess I can't interact with that. I'm gonna have that issue a few times where I think I can interact with something like this. It took me forever to find this the other day. Nothing really special here, just some laundry, some gross laundry. There's a couple of spots that it's like, all right, that didn't really bring anything to the table. I don't know what that was doing there. It doesn't detract. It doesn't really add. There are a couple of things that don't detract, but they don't add. I'll call those out as they happen. Some of the puzzles in the original felt so much more, I don't know, fitting or suitable, because it felt like they were... like they contributed to the story, or at least alluded to the story. We got Neely's Bar circled on the map. We're heading Neely's Bar. But again, for the most part, very, very good. Like they replace one of the puzzles in one of the latter sections with like this. Well, I guess it's still pretty. It alludes to the themes. Now that I think about it. Yeah, I'll just save that for when we get to that section, because now that I'm thinking about it, it does allude to the themes of the original game, or of the game, but just changes the original puzzle. I'll tell you when we get there. I'll tell you when we get there. There is something I noticed that James has been doing some cardio. Dude can run for a long time without getting tired. This is one of few things that is like a reference to the original that doesn't seem to give you any sort of, little glimmer or anything. But I think everybody is happy to see that this was here. Like, very happy. This is also what they use for the disc art for the game. I have digital. I kind of wish I would have got physical. I got digital, but apparently physical disc owners have this as the image for the disc. If they have a deluxe edition for the game, not a deluxe, but like a collector's edition that comes out, I will totally get it. You can see again, James's actor does a very, very good job. As he pulls this off, you can see he kind of gives this face puff of like, I got dust in my face. A very small detail that does, it creates a lot more realism for the character. They do a lovely job making it feel real, immersive. Probably should have left that on the screen for you guys to read just a little bit more. Wait a second. Kind of forgot. There's also these strange photos around in the game, and I found a ton of them on my first playthrough. I want to say I saw somewhere online that if you collect all the strange photos, you will get a specific ending. But there it is again. There's a lot of them. All right, we got groovy music and Saul Street Apartments. We're going to go to the apartments first. And I don't think I visited Happy Burger. We're going to Happy Burger, baby. Big Silent Hill 3 thing. There's also not just references to the original Silent Hill 2. There are references to the third and the fourth game. Very, very cool. Come here. You got nothing on me. Here we go. Just quick vandalism. It's going to be so dark until we get the flashlight. It is going to be extremely dark. Obviously, I play with my brightness a little bit low. If you guys want me to turn it up, you can say something in chat. Yeah, again, lots of little interactable posters like this. Plenty of stuff like this. This makes me hungry for Silent Hill 3 Remake. Gimme, gimme. End of Small Sanctuary? Oh no. You thought? Again, the animations are great. Not just for enemies when they're moving around, their attack patterns. I really enjoy that final swing that knocks an enemy to the ground. That animation, I don't know if it's physics or the animation, but it's lovely. Ah, their attack patterns are a little bit unpredictable when you're up close like that. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Health drink, dude. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, enemies indoors is occasionally a problem as well. Minor issue, minor issue. There's also, I'm sure they're going to patch this. They may have already patched this. There's a bug that, got to top myself off there. I got some damage on me. There's this bug where you'll occasionally get kind of stuck in a few things in the environment if you dodge into them. I'm sure they're going to patch that ASAP. It only happened to me twice in game, but I did have to load a save from it. Autosaves are great. I think the autosaves are perfectly placed to the point that when things happen that you're like, ah, great, I have to go back, you never really go too far back, except maybe if you're deep in one of the dungeon areas, like the apartments or, you know, Labyrinth, or actually the Labyrinth has pretty frequent autosaves. Gotta keep my health topped off. We're not doing in water this time. There's other ways to avoid that, but I'll keep my health topped off. I want to avoid the stress. Love the atmosphere. Like, the sound design and the visuals are all just beautiful, beautifully tied together. Like, if this were my first time hearing these sounds, I would be like, oh, I'd be terrified. But instead, it's like I'm comforted because I know them so well. Oh, yeah. You don't really, there's no sneak. It's not like you can toggle sneak and start sneaking, but if you walk slowly, like, okay, noise. You can use, you know, being quiet to your advantage before you start shooting or swing your weapon. Don't run. Walk towards enemies because they are kind of blind-ish. Oh yeah, I forgot we're going this way. I'm gonna be a oxymoron here, and I'm running obviously, but for the most part, if you are walking into enemy encounters, you're gonna have a better chance because enemies don't see you all that well, and you'll have a great chance to walk up and do an attack that will, if enemies don't see you and you attack, 9 times out of 10 is going to knock them over. And frankly, when enemies are on the ground, they are so extremely vulnerable. Lying figures do have attacks where they'll run around and they'll kind of spray stuff from the ground or jump up and attack you, but for the most part, when an enemy is on the ground, they are extremely easy to kill. I hear ya. There he is. Little bug. Creeper, right? I think is what they're called. I think the creepers could have been better. It's not like I wasn't looking forward to this enemy. I honestly kind of forget about them. I wish they were just a little bit bigger. Like, every time I see it, it's just a nuisance. Like, this dumb thing that's here. This dumb thing setting off my radio when there could be real things around. Maybe that's what's supposed to make the creeper scary, is that you can't really see much of anything until you finally see it scampering around. Here we go. It feels so dead. Oh, gosh. Like, look at it. Look how sad this room is. Everywhere is like this. I think the first game did a really good job of communicating that dead and desolate feeling. Yes, through the textures. They had a very, very great team for doing the textures and making it look nice. But the art style and the color grading of the original sold that tone really well. I was worried with modern tech they weren't going to be able to capture that as well, but just in how everything looks so dilapidated and dead and abandoned, they capture that sad, desolate feeling very well of, you know, I don't know. You ever drive through a town like you're on a long road trip? This is the cool thing about Silent Hill. I again, alluding to my video a lot here. Oh, hello. Not sure I really need this, but Silent Hill has this feeling, and this is for the first like 4 games, of just like a town that you feel like is familiar, like especially for people who grew up in smaller towns. Um, when you're like walking through downtown areas or seeing like a city hall or something like that, Silent Hill always gives me that feeling of just like I feel like I know this place. Um, and it's like sometimes the opposite will happen where you're like driving through a small town or something like that, and you get that kind of, oh, this feels like Silent Hill kind of feeling, and that familiarity makes it even more scary because again you're seeing things. All of these scenes feel tangible and familiar, kind of like in The Last of Us, how you're seeing normal society, you're just seeing it in this dead way, this abandoned, desolate, like no hope for return kind of way. Silent Hill does that. This game captures that in the modern style. And they also do that with these collectible notes and stuff that like that you have. Again, very much adds to the themes of the game instead of borrows or detracts from it, I guess. Detracts is probably a much better way to say this. Forgot that was locked. I also tried to open locked doors, I think, over 500 times in my first playthrough. You know how happy I was that that was a thing? They keep track of the dumbest crap to look at the end of your game, and I love it. Like, how many times did you dodge? How many times did you try to open locked doors? Because, again, original game, fully faithful to the original, locked doors throughout. Look at that. They're everywhere. Like, everything is locked. I was concerned that it was going to be, like, this was going to be super linear, and a bunch of doors were going to be unlocked everywhere, or things were just like, there were going to be very small areas that you could just easily blow through. No, a lot of open areas with you going and finding keys and going back, tracking through the rooms to go and unlock another thing with a key you just found. They optimized the space very well. Like, the original did that, obviously, with you traipsing around the town several times, doing different objectives. But this game recaptures you having to go around, and it's like you're sightseeing. Like, and this is great. This task that I'm doing here now, obviously, people that played the original, this wasn't in the original game. With you needing to go and fix a jukes box or whatever, what do you do in the original? You go up this alleyway and you find a note on a body and a key to the apartment complex. But this is like this roundabout way to extend the original part of the game, and I'm so glad they did this, because when I started the original, I didn't use a walkthrough or anything. I just stumbled around the town for like, I want to say it was like hours with me just aimlessly wandering. I almost got sick of it. But again, sound design was wonderful and kept me going. Tension was always high. But eventually, yeah, you get this note that points you up towards this alleyway, and I missed the note forever. Finally found the note. There's a few things that point you along in the direction you're supposed to go, and I just didn't see them because I'm stupid. But the original game, again, had this not extremely long section. If you know what you're doing, it's a fairly brief section. I love this, that you can look down in the town for a second and see the lying figures running around, and you can only see street lights and like the telephone lines. This is, the fog is perfect. The fog is perfect. This. Any photographers watching this? Leading lines? Rule of thirds? Anyways, this extension of the part at the beginning where you see the town, I like that it sends you on this kind of mini quest where you have to go and fix up the jukebox, because it forces you to go and see not just one part of the town, but many different parts, and get acclimated to being out in the streets and seeing Silent Hill in its completely dead and dilapidated state before you delve into the first dungeon area. When I say dungeon, obviously not real dungeons. It's just like the areas that you visit before eventually you return back into the town again. But this part, at the beginning of the game, extends this viewing and touring of the town to a very nice degree. Oh, it's lovely. And this sound is actually something that you're supposed to hear a lot later in the original game, but they put here. And I like that they put it here because this is part of your little mini quest. You see James is glancing at this bathroom. Oh, what is this? I love that sound. That sound is so haunting. I think this is actually a sound that is in the Brookhaven Hospital, like near the stairwell in the original. Speaking of originals, tell me this is not Silent Hill 4. Someone call me crazy. This is a Silent Hill 4 reference, right? Okay, so this is part of our first quest. This is something you're supposed to do. But, like, look at this. Hole in the bathroom wall, the mirror setup, where the hole is placed, the black around the outside, like the broken tile, everything. The bathtub even. Like the apartment style and everything. Not the entire apartment, but really just this bathroom. This looks like the hole that forms in the room. This totally is reminiscent of that. To me, maybe I'm crazy. I want them to remake the room. I honestly, if they remade the room next, I would be okay with that. I want a Silent Hill 1 remake more. Frankly, my preferred order is for the next, if they keep doing remakes, if they do the first game next, and then Silent Hill 4, which is weird, I know, hear me out, and then Silent Hill 3. Silent Hill 3 has aged the best visually. I think it looks even better than number 4, which is, I know, weird. In some spots, 4 does look a little bit better, but I think 3 has held up the best of all of the games over the years, with the exception of, Enhanced Edition for this game. Sorry for the original Silent Hill 2. But otherwise, if you're talking like the original graphics and like playing on PS2, I think that Silent Hill 3 looks like still to date like one of the best games. Should have been running into that door. I ran into that door like last night, and that happened. It scared me because I forgot about it. Sometimes the reflections on the water don't look bad. Like in this one spot, I think it's just the amount of stuff it doesn't look great. But I think it's the amount of stuff it tries to render on screen at once in terms of reflections when you are in a large area. Yeah, that glimmer is... Ugh. I also think that I kind of alluded earlier to having a small tutorial-esque kind of thing for unlocking doors and finding keys and jumping through windows, which is like, that should be common knowledge, but, what if it's your first AAA horror game? But this is almost your introduction to having, like, open-ended quests in large areas. Let's see, I think I marked a couple other things on the map. Pretty sure it was supposed to circle Texan Gas, or the Texan Cafe, so we're gonna go there next. Why do I feel like there's one more spot that I need to go? There's groovy music, Texan. Maybe the apartment was the last one. I swear on my life that hole in the wall is a reference to Silent Hill 4. There are several times in the game that there are references to the other games, and that one feels like the most direct, maybe the second most direct one. There's a nod to Silent Hill 3 later in the game that is very, very apparent. And kind of awesome. Is there something in here? No? I'm intrigued. Oh, hello. Oh yeah, I remember seeing this. Yeah, sometimes the lock for your for combat is kind of buggy, and sometimes it'll kind of lock when you don't want it to. But there's like a soft enemy lock that happens without you really doing anything. I kind of forgot about this. That this is here. I don't think I've found any memos for this. But then again, I haven't really been reading them all that much. Yeah, no, I haven't found a memo for this. Was there something else I wanted to show in the menus? Again, I'm gonna keep this in my inventory. Like, obviously I can't drop it, but I'm probably not gonna use it. I would love to get that open and get in there. That's not the focus of this. And we'll go to the cafe. Nope. Again. Look at the animation. The animations are great. It looks like somebody who is like on drugs or like drunk or something, and I think that's what I don't remember, but I think that's what they said they wanted in the original. Have some visual popping here and there happening. That's not my favorite. There is kind of an apparent change that you can hear with the music when you're like seen or discovered. Not my favorite. That feels kind of Outlast to me. I don't really always enjoy when combat music happens because it's just like a dead giveaway. However, that's not consistent. That doesn't happen the entire game. There are some spots where you constantly just feel in danger. Speaking of which... Again, if they are on the ground, they're super easy to kill. That's all I needed. You know what? I said that I'm doing an in-depth playthrough. Let's see if there's something in here that I missed. Definitely not. Alright, Love Texas Roadhouse. Let's go. Can I get in here? Oh, hey, look, the white cloth. Dude, come on. Yeah, sometimes I have issues with swinging the weapon. Saw him again, or at least I think so. He says he didn't, but I don't know anymore. I'm tired. Can't find it. Doesn't matter. That scraping noise again. Keep clicking the button for my flashlight, and I don't have a flashlight. I knew it. I'm going to keep looking at the stuff that I've already interacted with. It's not like health in here or anything. I'm pretty sure I'm out of health drinks. Or I might have like one. Do I have one? No! That's another thing. They do a great job with the balance of how much you have at your advantage in terms of resources. You're very limited. By the end of the game, you might have a surplus. I had a surplus by the end of the game. But for the most part, it feels like a good back-and-forth struggle for the most part in game of I don't have enough stuff. And I frequently in my first playthrough did not have enough stuff. Again, if I was walking instead of running, there'd be a lot less combat happening. But we're going to pick up the pace. Gotta get to the apartments. Plus, there's more enemies in here. There we go. Oh, was this your friend? Well, now he's dead. You look like monsters to me. Running around on the ground will not save you. Quite the contrary. Makes you easy to stomp. Okay, now I have an issue. See, I'm trying to break this window and... Let's break a different window. Yeah, there we go. That's why there's 3 of them here. Vinyl glue. It's glue for your vinyls. And vinyl, conveniently placed. Nothing in here, I don't think. Again, I just have to pay closer attention because James is not going to have little indicators on screen for where all the stuff is. I will say, Bloober Team I don't think is as great as doing these small subtext kind of messages. They feel a little bit more on the nose with some of their messages. Like, again, there's later in the game, I'm sure that people have seen from the trailers, there's this reap what you sow on the walls that I don't think was present in the originals. If there's not numbers on it, it probably doesn't make a big difference to me. Okay. Just feels so right. I'm going to be gushing for a lot of this, but again, it feels right. The denseness of the fog, the fact that it kind of dresses things, like it settles down along the ground and kind of dresses things. The long, stretching streets, kind of the blocky buildings. I love this. I was also worried that with the new tech, they were going to be like, buildings don't have to be as blocky. The buildings are still very blocky, like the original polygon structure from the first game, which is super nice, because there's the, oh, what's up, Andre? I won't play Freebird, but I will dance with this guy. Do you dance? Excuse me, sir. Sometimes to get someone's attention, you just have to hit them with a piece of wood. It's pretty sick. They do a great job with the enemies. They're kind of unpredictable in their moveset. I'm not gonna lie, me dodging at the right moments there was totally just luck. It gets worse later. The Bubblehead nurses are probably the most unpredictable enemies in the game. The progression of enemies from start to finish is outstanding. I think the lying figures are good. Not really like tutorial, but your first challenge kind of enemies. When you start playing the game, getting used to dodging and when you have your iframes, or when the enemy will attack and when to use that iframe is something you got to get acclimated to. Like here, I'll sneak up on this guy. Oh no! I totally biffed that. Oh yeah, I explained this in the start of the video. Classic HUD mode, I disabled things like the health vignette is disabled. Here, I'll do a quick tutorial here. I'll show you in a second. So, classic HUD mode is because I disabled a bunch of stuff. The health vignette is the primary thing. This feature is obnoxious. It's kind of good for, I think, getting a hang of when James is in a critical health state, but you can also just look at your controller light, and if it's like red or orange, then you should probably take a health item, unless you're opting for the in water ending. Ammo counter is off. It's not dynamic, it's just totally off. I was really tempted to go for a dot for... Can you do dot? Yeah, here we go. You can do a dot for your reticle. I don't know. I think that would be a little bit too difficult combat-wise. The thing that makes this classic is not just the disabled vignette and lack of heads-up display, but the 90s graphics mode. Here, I'll kind of show you the regular. Classic graphics with all of your heads-up display disabled. Looks very clean. I really do love how this looks, and yeah, I disabled the 90s graphics, and yes, this is very pleasing to my eyeballs. But nostalgia is just kind of my thing. I think that the film grain is, again, the nostalgia is great. Occasionally, the film grain does not mesh well with the fog effect, and it kind of makes this weird glimmer around James's head. You'll see that here in a few, but what I really, really enjoy, other than just the film grain, I love that it washes out the colors more. Like, from the back, this looks exactly like James's character model from the original game. So, tickles the nostalgia a lot. There's one thing I don't like about the 90s film thing, the 90s filter. You'll see this dark vignette around the outside of the screen. I do not like that. I wish there was a way to turn that off and still use the 90s filter, because it kind of makes the game a little too dark in some spots. But otherwise, is very, very welcome in my eyes. The multiple filters, at least. I think they're going to add some additional customization in time. That would be super sick. I was saying earlier that I would love to be able to toggle old soundtracks in some certain spots. Um, no, yeah, I kind of see that. We're almost like tunnel visions a little bit because things are more obscured. That's another thing. They'll either hide enemies in really good areas or just make them kind of difficult to see in others because it starts with just the lying figures, and for the most part, they're walking around. But in time, you'll see enemies will be crawling around on the ground. I mean, they're already doing that, but eventually, there are some enemies that, light spoiler, will begin crawling around on the walls, and they'll kind of like when you're in dungeon areas or you're in apartment buildings or whatever. When they're like crawling around on the ceiling, you have to start looking around everywhere. So yeah, having the additional obscure vision is, yes, it makes it a little bit extra difficult, but I think, yeah, it definitely makes it more scary. You're definitely right about that. Alright, I guess we had nothing in there. I'm low on health items, so I'm trying to find more. Earlier I was talking about this as well. This is another thing that makes this classic HUD mode for me, is the inventory screen in the original. It had like this little picture that would be like kind of light green or kind of red. But in this, instead, you can turn on this feature for seeing your health kind of in the inventory screen based on kind of this grainy haze that's in the background and how dark the imagery is or how shaky it is. Yeah, actually, the fog limitation I don't know if that was the Silent Hill 2 thing. I'm sure that they were able to better optimize the graphics of Silent Hill 2 original by using the fog and point lighting system. But in the original game, that was the entire reason they used the fog. Well, at first they said that they wanted to adapt Stephen King's The Mist into a game, but the Stephen King never got back to them. Did I just run past everything? I just ran past everything. Yeah, the fog in the original game was used because they couldn't render enough well-textured 3D imagery in-game on the PS1's hardware. It was a limitation. So what they did was they used the fog to obscure how much stuff was rendering on screen at once, and then later in the nighttime section switched to using the point lighting system for that, which also worked very well. And I'm sure that in the original Silent Hill 2 that, again, the graphics were significantly enhanced because of the PS2 hardware, but did I get everything? Yeah, I got everything. But I'm sure that, yes, they still used the fog to limit the visible environment around you to their advantage in the original Silent Hill 2. They definitely did with the point lighting system. Another kind of classic old feature, I love that puzzles remain with combining items. This one, it's a lot more streamlined. It's very apparent the things that you need to combine. In the original game, puzzles were so extremely obscure. There's also little interactables that you do here for puzzles, which I think is fun. A nice little addition. But again, I've done this, so it's going to be very easy. A good start of the game quest to introduce you to the mechanics of going and finding key items to interact with to eventually solve a very large puzzle. Oh, I'm going to shut up for a second and let the cutscene play because the soundtrack is just magnificent. Frankly, I'm hoping they work on Silent Hill 1 next. That would be super cool.
Just the two of us staring at the water.
I kind of said this earlier. I said either Silent Hill 1 or Silent Hill 4 next would be the coolest, but I think Silent Hill 3 has aged the best. and probably is in the least need of remake, but obviously I want them to make Silent Hill 3 Remake. I'm super excited for that one, because I love Heather. All in good time. Love the additional sound work from Akira Yamaoka there, and also this addition Bloober Team does to the remake of having these little memory flashes. And it gives the player some indication of the importance of Rosewater Park early on. And also, again, subverting your expectations. I keep alluding to this, that Bloober Team will subvert your expectations from the original game. That line of dialogue that James has right there is something he says in the initial cutscene in the original game, when the game first starts. And they put it here, which is still close enough to the beginning that it feels well placed, and also alludes to James and Mary's time on Rosewater Park, which, again, just great setup. Great setup for what's going to come next. All right, we're an hour and 20 minutes into our game. Solid progress so far. I love how Bloober lengthened the game. Andre, you can feel free to see yourself out of chat with the Book of Memories remaster. You can get out of here with that one, dude. Oh, man. Cracks me up. Book of Memories remaster. They've got a whole remake of PT. Somebody remade PT, like, in its entirety in PlayStation Dreams, which is just so cool. The fan base for Silent Hill is sick. Again, Enhanced Edition for the original Silent Hill 2. Like, they have been updating that, I think, up until they released their final update just in the last, like, month or two. You got that one? The Enhanced Edition? It's incredible. Enhanced is the best way to play Silent Hill 2 original. Yeah, I haven't messed around in Dreams yet. I would like to check it out at some point. I did get PT working on my PS4, though. My PS4 was super busted, but I kind of tore it apart and disabled the eject button because it kept going off and kind of interrupted my ability to, be immersed in PT. All right, we kind of made it through the introductory section of the game. We're about to enter our first dungeon area. Quote, dungeon area. I keep saying that. Also, Mig, were you talking about, do you have, oh, Naley's bar key. I did this in my first playthrough as well, where I didn't pay attention to what the key said, and I just ran up here because I was like, yay, apartment's time. All right, now we're going back. Yeah, Mig, did you say that you had Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, or that you had Book of Memories? I played Book of Memories a long time ago on my PS Vita. It was like one of my soft introductions to the series, and I was like, I don't like this game, and then I just didn't play Silent Hill for a while because I didn't know what it was, but, picked it up a long time later. I wouldn't be opposed to a Silent Hill, like, dungeon crawler spin-off thing, I guess. Maybe I would be. I don't know. I'm very nitpicky with this series, which is why I'm so impressed with the remake. I think that Silent Hill fans have a very high... Silent Hill fans have a very high level of expectations for the series. Like, people have said this is one of the best things in Silent Hill to be released since the 4th game. Like, that's what people are saying on Reddit, and I echo that opinion as well, because seriously, super good, but I am so curious how many locked doors I'm going to have at the end of this. I might just have to beat my 500. Yeah, I would agree. This is one of the greatest Silent Hill games, I would say. I would say it's probably top 5 up there with the originals. Again, for those just joining us, if you haven't played the original, you totally should. Even if you've played the remake, even if you haven't played the remake, both are worth playing. If this is your first experience, you might want to go ahead and start with this one and then go back and play the original just to see what makes it different. That might make the final dialogue at the end of the game all the more powerful, because the original game, again, I think it's Monica Taylor Horgan is her name. The voice actress for Mary does such a good job in that game, it could bring a man to tears. That being said, there were... And again, I knew everything was coming. I knew everything that was coming, and yet still had 3 moments, I want to say, for I had like 3 or so moments where I totally almost burst into tears. Dude, you had it on the Xbox back in the day? That's sick. That's cool. I would like to have a physical copy. I actually don't. I have a PS2 that I fixed up and I installed it onto there, and that's kind of how I do my retro playthrough, but for the most part do enhanced. If you're waiting to get this for PlayStation 5, dude, I'll try to avoid spoiling anything major. If you see something that you think is going to spoil, you got to jump out. You still have it? Dude, hang on to that forever. It's going to age like fine wine. Andre, I think I missed your last message. Did you say that Book of Memories had a bad intro? I think you did, and if so, I definitely agree. Book of Memories could have... I think Book of Memories had potential to hook people, and it didn't. Also, I couldn't get behind the gameplay. I don't know. Maybe saying that Silent Hill could have a dungeon crawler game is blasphemy. I don't know. I'm okay with spin-offs. I'm alright with spin-offs. I think that at the time, people were so hungry for a real Silent Hill game and something that actually lived up to the originals, because, you know, after that you had, like, Origins and Shattered Memories, and people apparently liked Origins and Shattered Memories well enough. I never finished them, but, I don't know. I think that people were just so starved for something that was as good as the original. Oh, bad intro to the series? Oh, dude, yeah, 100%. Totally 100%. Yeah, at that point, so my soft introduction to Silent Hill was PT. I had no idea what it was. I had heard of Silent Hill because people said it was so scary, but, you know, I was too young back then to play it on my PS2. Sorry, get caught up looking for stuff. I was too young to play it on the PS2, but you know, obviously at that point, copies of it were hundreds of dollars. So I didn't play it. I played PT, and then I was like, Silent Hills? This seems awesome. Okay, and then it didn't happen. Super bummed about that. However, you get to the point of being like, all right, I'm interested enough in this series, I'd like to try it out. Had the PS Vita at the time, downloaded Book of Memories, played it for, I don't know, 20 minutes, and I was like, this is not cool. I don't like this. Yeah, definitely a bad introduction to the series. I've seen a lot of people on Reddit threads be like, dude, what's up with... Yes, exactly. Well, more or less. See, like, they didn't incorporate it well into Book of Memories. Book of Memories had, like, all of the classic enemies that you would expect to see, but the context was not there. And that's what makes the enemies of Silent Hill extra scary, is there's the added context of how they correlate to the story or to the primary character. And if it's your first playthrough of any game, and you didn't know that, light spoiler, I guess, but that also gives you that added level of mystery of anytime you see a monster, think to yourself, okay, what does this have to do with what's going on? Because there's, for the most part, almost always a reason for the enemies that you see. Like, the nurses are kind of a representation of sexual repression. To, you know, again, give a light spoiler, I suppose. But yeah, any appearance of Pyramid Head outside of Silent Hill 2, that's blasphemy. Oh, hey, we're not going to fight these guys. It's okay to be repressed, dude. Facing your demons, that's the tough part. I like this sweet little transition that they do where everything gets, like, windy and kind of picks up, becomes much more intense just before you're entered to the apartments. Have a good night, buddy. Tell Lauren I say hello. See if we can do it. Can we do it? Yeah. Alright, am I going the right way? Yeah, I'm still going the right way. I don't see anything in there. Yeah, it's pretty brutal starting out. It's very light on the equipment at first that you can find. Pretty sparse. The randomization is very solid. There are a couple of times where you can see the animation, or not animation, but you can kind of see items pop in when you open up a drawer or whack a car or something like that. However, for the most part, I think all of the items are spread out enough and few and far between to the point that you feel the challenge. Again, at least until about that 3/4-ish point of the game. But that it doesn't feel like, you know, you never have anything. All right. First dungeon area. We are finally at the apartments. And what's our clock looking like? Hour 30? We just topped an hour 30. Okay. Not too bad. I think they did, again, redesigns for everything, feel faithful to the original in terms of their style and the way everything looks. The layout is completely new, but still maintains all of the areas that you want to see. Again, like I said, remake that adds. It brings more to the table. It does not cut the fat. It's like if the original Silent Hill was a nice, big T-bone. This is a porterhouse steak with a side of green beans and mashed potatoes. It's got more to eat. You don't have to eat it all. You could just have the regular old T-bone if you would like, but there's more to dine on if you would like. It's the same meal. It's prepared a little bit different. Maybe that's not the best illusion. But again, they both have their place. I really enjoyed this one. I'm super eager to get the rest of the endings.
Hello? Is anyone there?
I think we're going to go ahead and... nah, I can't top off my health quite yet. I don't feel right doing that. I do actually remember having just a little bit of trouble when I started the remake in terms of navigating the apartment building. So we will see how this goes. Alright, fans. Original fans, at least. Look what we got here. It's a great setup in this room, I think, as well. Again, looks different enough, but still, imagery-wise, is very much the same as the original. That's one small gripe I have. Silent Hill has never been a game with jump scares like that. I don't like stingers. I think stingers are super cheap. Ah, crap. I'll go ahead and stick myself. Mannequins are tough. I'll say that. Mannequins are fairly unpredictable. The problem is they're very fast. If you haven't played the remake, the combat feels cumbersome at first, but give yourself a while and you get acclimated to it. Mannequins are going to make you want to stop playing for a little bit, I think, if it's your first playthrough. They are a little bit hard at first, but you get used to it. I love that they don't redesign this at all. I kind of understand why they redesigned Maria's character. Redoing Christina Aguilera in the 90s was not gonna work. It would have been so removing and felt less realistic. I think Maria's redesign in her outfit feels more believable. And she does, and everybody talks about Silent Hill being subtle, she does subtle sexiness very, very well. And I think that makes her almost more creepy. We'll see that, of course, when we find Maria. But there are a few things that I really do prefer in the remake. There are actually 3 boss fights that I really, really prefer in the remake, that I seriously had a great time with. Flesh Lips. The Flesh Lips boss fight in this is very scary. I think it was scary in the original game, but it owed a lot of that credit to the sound. How to even describe that? The sounds in it were just utterly terrifying. But for the most part, the boss fight itself, I mean, you stand there, you shoot it a lot. And in this one, yes, you do that, but there's a lot more to it than that. You'll see what I mean when we get there, but they add more to it that makes it more scary. Same goes for the final boss. Oh boy, we're gonna have a fun time here. You know, one thing that maybe I missed this. Hopefully we'll find one. It would be super cool to find one. I would love to see eventually the classic bathroom scare from the original game, where you knock on the bathroom 3 times and, you know, it spooks you. It's like one of the few jump scares that is in Silent Hill as a franchise. It would have been cool to see that. Again, I did not see it. Maybe we'll see it down the line somewhere. More fresh sounds from Akira Yamaoka, and God, I love this one. There are a couple of spots, and this is one of the... there are several spots. There are several spots with the new soundtrack that I'm like, ooh, that smacks. Either it's a redesign of the new one, or just something totally new like this one here. Alright, gotta go find the coins. Occasionally my messages are popping up on screen. I hope they're not popping up for you guys. That would kind of be removing from the experience. I would like this to be good and immersive for the folks who are getting to watch, but also just add a little bit of context to, hey, this is a reference to the original game or something like that. There is a ton of that stuff. Again, kind of my inspiration for wanting to do this long play was how many references to the original game I was finding. Plus, this 90s filter, which is wonderful for the most part, and occasionally just a little bit buggy. Won't complain too much about that. I really enjoy the film grain. I must have missed something. I don't remember this chunk of the apartments all that well. But I do remember if you go up the stairs, I want to say this door is blocked off. No? Okay. Locked? No handle. Yeah. This one is blocked off. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention this on the note of gameplay. Quick turn. I love that quick turn is in this game. That was a feature in the original where you could just turn on a dime and spin around 180. You can do that in this by tapping R1, and it is extremely helpful. I kind of wish Resident Evil 4 had that, if it does, like Resident Evil 4 Remake. Because they had that in the original Resident Evil 4. If there is that in Resident Evil 4 Remake, I just gotta pick it back up, I guess. But yeah, I love quick turn. In survival horror games especially, quick turn is wonderful. So to see it present in this made me very happy. Again, Bloober Team seems to have played the original and had a wonderful time with it. We're going to double check in this room and see if I missed something, because I'm pretty sure I missed something in here. Hey, look at that. I totally missed that. It's shoot courtyard key. Just gotta watch where James's head is. Shoot courtyard key. I really wish I remembered this chunk of the game better, because otherwise I'd be flying through this part. There were a couple of spots that I have already replayed. I want to say I picked up like halfway through the game to try and go and find this one very small thing. Yeah, there's a reference to Silent Hill 3 that you can find like midway through the game after the hospital section, and yeah, there's an achievement for it. Had to go and find it. Gosh, look at that. I love how dense the fog is. There is one thing I'll say about the short message. I was not a huge fan of the short message. Good message. I like the environments. I thought when it happened, this is their way to kind of not really compete with PT, but give that same kind of graphical showcase of what's going to come next. And for that, I very much appreciate the short message, because I remember walking out in this courtyard and immediately thinking to myself, when I played the short message, I can't wait for the remake of Silent Hill 2 for the apartment section. And you know, I got that same feeling here of like, I should replay this short message. And then I remembered I didn't really like that game all that much. Oh, lore heads. Lore heads, Silent Hill 4. The textures are great. They do a great job with all the nasty, grimy looking textures. And this A lot of stuff is word for word same as the original, and this, so happy. I am so happy they didn't change a word from this. I love Walter Sullivan. I know The Room is kind of one of those, I don't know about controversial. I think that people have come around to it in recent years, but I really, really, really like The Room. It is totally frustrating in terms of like gameplay, and I wish the design wasn't just like a repeat run back and forth once you hit the midway point. But The Room has so much special stuff in it as a game that I don't get from a lot of other games. Like, I find ghosts to be the most scary thing ever. I love that Silent Hill has monsters that are representations of people's fears or their manifestations of their subconscious. That adds a lot of fear to seeing a monster or even dwelling on it. Like, it brings that sort of dread and terror. But ghosts are just scary, dude. And the Silent Hill 4 ghosts are especially scary because of the noises they make. Also, I was really caught off guard by a lot of the hauntings. I would love to see all of the hauntings and the ghosts and stuff like that in this close third-person dynamic. Yeah, I'm hyped for the Room remake. I don't know if Mig is still with us. There was a guy in chat earlier who was talking about whether they do Silent Hill 1 or 3 next. I think they're going to do 1 next. I hope they do 1 next. But frankly, if the order they did was Silent Hill 1 remake and then the Room remake, I would be okay with that. Again, I think Silent Hill 3 has aged very well visually. And I want to see Silent Hill 3 remake really bad. Really, really bad. However, I think that 3 is one of the most beloved, like this one. And I get why they started with Silent Hill 2. Like, this is one of those serious attractors that would bring a lot of people in and also has a story that is independent, and so people can start with this one. And also, like, this is kind of the one that gets the most attention. So I get why they started with this one. However, I think Silent Hill 3 and 2 are the two most beloved in the series, and I would love to see them get fully acclimated to using the hardware and fleshing out doing additions and just becoming more well-versed at doing these games in general as they do the next couple of remakes. And I am okay with Silent Hill 4 having more bugs or flaws in its remake than Silent Hill 3. So I would love for them to get the most time to flesh out number 3. However, I am so eager to see a remake of number 1. I think number 1 is not underrated, underloved. There are not enough people who have played the first Silent Hill game. I believe that with all of my heart. I actually wrote it off for years because I was like, oh, it's just the first one. It was on PS1. It did all the setup, but like, you don't have to play it. I was wrong about that. My God, I was wrong about that. Silent Hill 1, I played only just like within the last couple of years. One of the scariest games I've ever played. It came out in '99, and I've played like, I don't know, however many dozen horror games in the modern age, and classic Dead Space Remake, Fatal Frame, and yeah, Fatal Frame is totally up there, but Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 3, also up there. I think Silent Hill 1, 3, and 4 are some of the scariest games ever, and I was so astonished at how scary 1 was for its time, with how well it's aged. Oh, I got caught up in talking about the games. Yeah, a lot of visual bugs. That is like my gripe with this game and the Unreal Engine. There's Silent Hill 2 original was so clean, so polished. Oh, that's what I need to do. I love the exclamation points because they always remind me of the stuff that I just walked right past.
Hey! Wait! Damn it. What's a kid doing here?
What is a kid doing here? That's a good question, James. Did I even try going in? No, I did try going in once in. I don't know. You ever get that gut feeling that you missed something? I feel like I missed something. That is another thing. I know I have this channel and everything. I suck at video games. um, I miss stuff. When I play OG Silent Hill, again, have done it however many times, but I still miss things. You know, if there's like, I missed getting the old man coin from this area, now I have to run all the way back. That kind of stuff. Okay, I knew he wasn't here, but... Oh, here we go. I thought we were coming up on a small little scare. No, I'm just now noticing, I only recognized this at the very end of the game, but there are many, many times that you find classic piano melodies, and I want to say that they added this story beat that Mary played the piano and maybe was going to teach Laura or something like that. But you find a lot of sheet music through the game. So I'm wondering if that's an illusion. I'm sure that's an illusion too.
Huh.
To Mary's playing of the piano. Oh man, they do a great job. Okay. Oh yeah, I didn't even notice this my first playthrough, how many of these little drawings are in the game. Still looking over at something like I could... Ah, very nice. Love that sound. Jeez, I'm nervous. Ooh. It like just got me, you know, that I'm still actually playing a scary game and that I am going to feel fear. Not that enemy encounters are, you know, the most horrifying thing in the world. I mean, they're well placed and everything. It does, I think, at a certain point, it almost feels like it gets a little old seeing some of the enemy placement. Like, alright, I've seen this one a few times, do something a little bit different. But I think, excuse me, it goes on just long enough that the enemy encounters still feel, they don't feel like they've gotten old, they are about to get old by the time you reach the end. Like, some of them. They still keep you on your toes. Especially when you transition to the other world, the enemies will definitely become more aggressive and have larger health pools, as I'm sure you would expect. But again, I think that Bloober Team found a lot of small, nuanced details that they didn't need to add that were very good additions. Like this. Actually, this isn't really an addition. This was in the original game, how you can turn off the light and sneak up on your toes. Oh, jeez. Come on, James. I love this. This isn't the first time I've seen this, but enemies don't always just attack you. They're not just purely aggressive. Very similar to the first game. Sometimes enemies just kind of run off. Another one of those small details Bloober added, but adds to the effect in the game of just how different it is. Like, I really like this breathing new life into the franchise, and newcomers are going to come on. I'm sure that for the people who are acclimated to playing survival horror games, especially, or just regular horror games, I guess, especially the over-the-shoulder third-person type, you know, Alan Wake 2ers, the Resident Evil remakers, I guess Last of Us players, there's some gameplay aspects of this that feel like The Last of Us, but with series newcomers, I think that a lot of that is going to get under their skin. I think it's a good transition into this, but I think that seeing enemies just not always chase you down constantly is going to be such a weird feeling for people who have never played Silent Hill. I'm so excited to see reactions to that in the coming days. I think we've done everything we need in here. I didn't ever end up grabbing a key, I don't think, either. A key? Ah, 2F. Okay, I did grab a key. I went that way. Yeah. I guess I've marked it through on my map. Maybe I don't need to go up there. Let's not. Oh, I'm smart. Here we go. Just in case. Love locked doors. Love locked doors. Wouldn't be Silent Hill without a lot of locked doors. Not just progression of enemies, progression of the areas. I've seen a lot of people be very happy with what they do with the Blue Creek apartments, which are the adjacent apartments to the Woodside building we're in right now. Once you reach Blue Creek, it's very apparent you're in the other world. In the original, it felt like maybe you were, if you were looking closely. But it didn't really feel like it. It felt creepier. There he is. This one has an apparent other world. I'll drop that thought in lieu of this guy. I think he's well designed. I think some of his animations were better in the original one, not gonna lie, but it's still very scary. I guess if I had one more small thing I could nitpick, I wish there was just slightly more Pyramid Head. So I just got one of those dings like this was a reference to the original game. What was this a reference to? Maybe this is where the clock originally was. It looks like maybe something was scooted over here, and this was where you were scooting the clock, potentially. Little crack in the wall kind of thing. What room am I in? I could be mistaken. Maybe 213 was the room in the original that you had the clock in. I'm not 100% sure what that's referencing. Am I missing anything over here? I love a quick turn. Love quick turn. Yeah, the progression of areas becoming progressively more dilapidated or just fear-inducing, off-putting. Very well done in the game. You're not just instantly thrown into something nightmarish. It starts kind of slow and burns into these areas that eventually, of course, transition otherworldly. There we go. I also have great models in this. The weapons all look really good. Classic room from the original, as you'd expect. Again, everything you wanted to see, everything you'd expect to see is definitely here. Bullet holes all over. I've always been curious about the gun. Like in what it's doing here. If this is some sort of implication to the people that lived at this apartment specifically, or if this is an allusion to Eddie, or I don't know, maybe I don't know, there could be some other things. Looking up, that's clear. You know, I'm just now realizing that I said I was going to opt for the Rebirth ending, but I don't, you know, know where all this stuff is. It would be a shame if I Googled that. I can't do that to myself. I guess we'll just try to keep our eyes peeled and hope we don't miss anything. Oh man, I remember my first playthrough of the original game. That sound made me want to stop playing. Again, played a lot of horror games. Played a lot of horror games in my time, and sound is always the thing that scares me most. And I was not ready for what Silent Hill had ready for me. I think my progression of finding the, quote, scariest game I could possibly play was fantastic, because I exhausted almost all of the options except for Silent Hill prior to playing it. And I didn't really know everything that was coming, so that sound, Pyramid Head at the end of the hall, dude, seriously, that sound happened, and... Okay, another great example, the guillotine puzzle in the original, in the prison section. When you finish that puzzle, there's another scream, very similar to that one. That gave me such a dark feeling. It didn't scare me like sudden shock. It was just this like deep feeling like I just did something wrong. It just made me uncomfortable, like I couldn't play anymore. I keep finding tiny references to the original. I mean, like, this is just something straight out of the original. But I like that they covered him up in a blanket. Like, I wonder who this guy is. Very dark implications, though. You know, obviously, if someone hasn't played this game, very dark implications about this dude sitting in front of the TV who seems to have had his head smashed into it. And it only gets darker. Literally and figuratively. Neat. Didn't even see the apartment number. I also enjoy the variety. It doesn't ever really feel like two areas look the same, with maybe the exception of a few spots in the labyrinth, but I think that's intentional. But I mean, every apartment looks slightly different. I remember playing The Room recently and thinking that about how all of the apartment rooms they do are like very fleshed out for each of the families that are living in them, or not even families. In some cases, not families at all. Is there really nothing out here? It's just for looking at. Yeah, just for looking at, just your balcony. But yeah, I like that they add that level of detail here, where every apartment has like a different paint style or layout, or you can kind of see things that are telling of their habits, like bottles of liquor around or a box of smokes. I'll kind of sample some gameplay. I don't generally like shooting enemies. I like to save all of my ammo for boss encounters, but I love that addition here. Yeah, you can kind of tell mannequins are the weaker of the two enemies we've encountered so far. They require a lot less hits to kill. Lying figures also have this feature where you shoot them in the leg, and it kind of cues you up for a little run-in attack if you're fast enough. You'll get used to that, kind of rounding corners that slow way. Yeah, when you're starting, combat can be cumbersome. Once you get acclimated to it, not bad, but you're going to be struggling for health at first, and you'll hit this point of, here's one of those strange photos I mentioned. Yeah, you'll get to this place where you get very nervous to encounter mannequins or, you know, some enemies just because you don't want to lose your health because you're kind of sparse on items. And mannequin placement is seemingly the most intricate done in the game. I don't think they place other enemies the same way they do the mannequins. Yeah, they are sneaky little hide-and-seek dudes, and if you let your guard down, they will totally get the drop on you, and just totally, over time, they eat away your health, and yeah, that is pretty stressful. See if we can't just slip past this dude. I think I need to go out here. No? Nothing? Saw somebody post about this earlier, how James couldn't just step over the boxes. Gross. There's another small thing that they did where damaging enemies, if they're not damaged and they're crawling around, obviously no blood trail. After they're damaged, they'll have this increasing amount of blood that they track around. And it's really, really, like, again, small detail, didn't need to add it. Very, very nice realism kind of feature. Is this open? Hello. I have two in here. Feels like they might be setting me up here. Come on. Ah. Not bad. Again, I find the combat to be pretty entertaining. There are some spots you might want to call BS at, especially with mannequins in that first attack. Like, sometimes you will be actively dodging backwards, and they will, like, seemingly not quite hit you, but they'll hit you anyways. Yeah, that initial attack they have where they spring out and they throw their arms at you, yeah, that one can kind of be a little BS-y. Otherwise, you know, again, get acclimated to the attack patterns, and you will totally be able to. Do I want to do it? Is this... I think... Okay, there's a spot you get an achievement for popping all these balloons. I'm sure this is the spot. I don't want to blow all my ammo on this, but I don't want to miss the achievement. Alright, we're gonna do it. Okay, we got an achievement, and it only cost me half of my ammunition. Was that a dumb choice? Yes. Do I have anything else to say to rebuke that? No, I don't. Alright, where are we off to next? Did I get that key? Not yet. Let's do that. 205. Yeah, I guess we got the rest of this hallway to explore. He seems to be glancing around. Yes, very nice. Okay, not as nice as I thought it was going to be. Neat. Oh, I kind of like this puzzle. We gotta get in here. There's some way in there. I just don't remember what it is. I guess we gotta keep exploring. Yeah, like I said, don't really remember the apartments part extremely well, remake-wise. No! Alright. Did I just do something dumb? Did I miss something stupid? What is this? It's like a safe in the wall. Yeah, something stupid. Just me. Like, I like this room. One of those things that wasn't in the original that is a welcome addition. Feels very crazy. Alright. Well, puzzle time. Right where the footprints pierce through the night. Left are homebound footprints with no owner in sight. Oh, rooftops pierce through the night. A river of memory. So, Rooftops, footprints, river. Got 7. Ooh, a familiar sight. The 9 red squares. One of the long, unsolved mysteries of Silent Hill 2. 9 red squares. Open to theories on that. I have seen the Max Darrett video, which is interesting. I wouldn't say it fully convinces me, but I see where he's coming from. I remember seeing Masahiro Ito say something online that it has something to do with like how many hallucinations or how many manifestations or something like that James sees in games. So I don't know. I remember trying to do a tally at some point, and I kind of struggled with it. Okay, 11. There we go. So we got like 7, 13, 11. So I think it's like 13, 7, 11. What up? Old man coin. I love that I don't remember everything because things are starting to hit me, as we're making progress. I like that they keep the classic coin puzzle from this. They add more to it that doesn't make it harder, but it lengthens it at the very least. They make it more interesting because there is more to do with it. I saw one somewhere. Come on, where you at? You! Exterminator. Ace Hardlight. I run consistently in horror games. I'm always running in horror games, but the game really becomes, and this goes for any horror game, the games become so much scarier when you slow down and stop running. I didn't even see him, but hear him. It's so nerve-wracking when you can just hear the static. It's that sound design that makes Silent Hill 2 so scary. Sorry, Silent Hill is so scary. No. Jeez, I hear the chittering. Oh, there he is. Enough with the making my radio go off. Oh, can I unlock it from this side? Very nice. Alright. I think I had another key. What was the other key that I just got? Small staircase key. Small staircase. Where's this? Oh, I would assume that's behind me, actually. Wait. Yeah, we'll try this way, and if it doesn't work, we'll go the other way. Wouldn't be Silent Hill if you didn't, have to take some strange roundabout way to backtrack. I also just noticed, as I was running through... Did I get everything in there? I guess it's worth a look. No, yeah, I've been in here. I just noticed when we were in the hallway in the apartment just how similar it looks to the original. Can I read this? No? Bummer. We're gonna see this when we get out here. Fans of the original, again, like the color palette in here. Not just the blue on the bottom and the white on the top and the soft light illuminating everything down the hall, but the shade of blue in particular, the pale, faded-looking blue. Oh, what? Where's the door? I feel lied to. It's a sham. I've been bamboozled. Okay. We're going back. Alright. You don't scare me. In fact, you don't scare me twice. Is this the small staircase with the, yeah, this is the one. You know, all of this remake hype, we're all, as a fan base, kind of forgetting about Silent Hill F and Townfall. Thank God we all forgot about Ascension. Yeah, I'm most eager for the remakes of the originals, because, whoa, they're so good. But I'm curious, most fresh Silent Hill content post The Room is never all that well received, so... What the... Ooh! Okay, that was scary. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the one that I said fuck you to earlier and just said, like, you don't get to follow me. Sorry, I've been trying to keep it as swear-free as possible. That just kind of just slipped out of me. Yeah, he probably just chased me all the way down the hall. Which is a cool feature. I love that they add that. Yeah, enemies will totally follow you room to room. And if you're running from a large group of enemies, and yes, there are several of those. If you're running from a large group, then yeah, there's a... It's pretty intense. Follow you and you through a room, yeah. Alright, I'm gonna try and shut up just a little bit, because again, another vital part of the game. Who's this dead guy? I mentioned that James did a great job.
Who's that?
Eddie?
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
This guy does so good.
I didn't do it, I swear.
This guy does so good.
Are you okay?
I didn't do anything. He was like that when I got here.
He... Oh, you mean the man back there? In the kitchen?
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't kill him.
You also see this tiny detail.
Look, my name is
Like
James.
wherever Eddie is, it seems to always be
Sunderland.
cold. You can see his breath all the time.
Eddie.
I love that.
Okay. So, do you live here, Eddie?
No. I'm not even from this town. It's just...
Something brought you here.
Yeah. Yeah, you could say that. Well, they came at me. I didn't know what to do, so I ran. I came here. Figured it might be safe, but then I found the guy in the fridge.
Easy, deep breaths. Look, this place, it's not safe. These things, this whole town, there's something wrong with it. Might be best if you just get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Hey, you want to come with? Maybe together we can find a way out of this town.
Oh, sorry, but I can't leave. Not yet. I need to find someone.
Oh.
And Eddie, be careful.
Yeah. You too.
Yeah, I really think that the leads they did with James and with Eddie, I think the two of these two, or these two dudes, just absolutely nail it. I would say comparable to, if not slightly better than the original iterations. Can't say the same for Maria. I will say Eddie, as he becomes fleshed out later through the game, becomes so phenomenal. There is one particular interaction with Eddie closer to the end of the game that is so beyond well done. Again, hats off to Bloober Team. Everybody's been saying it on Reddit. I'll echo that thought. My hat off to Bloober Team. What's up? Grab and go, grab and go, grab and go! Whoop. There's something about an empty pool. I don't know. It's very liminal spacey, an empty pool. It's another one of those things that I was like, small dumb detail, I hope they keep the pool. Very glad to see the pool. Alright. Well, we've made our way all the way to Eddie. Let's go ahead and update our save. This might be actually the spot that I call it for the evening. It's gonna be funny to jump back in and have those guys chasing me down. Let's check our progress here. 218. That's not a bad spot. I don't think that's a terrible spot to call it. Hopefully, I'll cover one major area in each video as we go through. Today will kind of be our soft introduction, get a lot of that preliminary stuff out of the way, and talk about some of the early games. Shit! Didn't know that would happen. I really... Whoa, okay. Oh, you two assholes. Yeah. That scared the crap out of me. Oh, my lord. You see how smug they looked when they just walked away? You douchebags. Alright, we're gonna have to update our save. Oh, that was good. Okay, apparently the game doesn't pause when you're in the save menu. I like that more. It's more immersive. It's kind of like, earlier I was talking about how I much prefer that they have this, this real-time map feature. I like that they have that with the save as well. Ooh! Here we go. Alright, I think we're getting on it. Okay, we did it. Woo! That got intense really quick. I hear one, I want to say. Alright. Oh, okay, we're ending on a high note. That totally scared the hell out of me. That was very unexpected. We're gonna update our save so that doesn't happen the next time we jump in. Alright. I hope you guys like this. This is fun. I like the nostalgia. I really enjoy reflecting on the original, but this is a cool way to get to kind of re-experience the game and also have an audience on board where we can kind of chat about the differences in the original versus this one, how they subvert your expectations, and what the original does better versus what this one does better. And as you can see, combat encounters, pretty scary. That caught me off guard so hard. I'm still, yeah, my heart's still kind of in my throat on that one. Appreciate you guys for watching. This has been a great time. Hopefully, if you guys are interested, we'll continue doing this, and we'll see this one all the way through to the end. I'll probably do about 2 hours at a time, and again, try to cover one area each video that I do. Anyways, if you guys want to see anything else, any other games, let me know. But for now, again, this has been a good time. Hope you guys liked it. Yeah, I'll see you next time at an irregular interval. All right, later, guys.